Great. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this latest webinar from us here at Bluebridge One, related to our OneShip product. And today we're just going to be looking at the specifically at the UK internal market scheme, which is just about to come into effect, and how OneShip can help you with that. So just to introduce ourselves today on the call, so there's myself, Neil Rose, and my colleague Noni Ngubo, and we work in the and we work in the product team here in Bluebridge One, and we have a range of suite which we support, of which OneShip is one of those, and that's our role in the business. Just for those of you who don't know about us as a company, we're a long-standing NetSuite partner in the EMEA region, and we've been doing NetSuite now for over 20 years, and we've worked with hundreds of customers over that time in implementation and support and a whole range of issues which are obviously NetSuite related, and we're based predominantly, our team are based predominantly here in the UK, where I am, in South Africa, where Noni is based, and also we have a small team in Romania. So we're spread internationally. And we also hold, as you can see there, a range of awards and accreditations from NetSuite that we've gained over our time working with them. And then just specifically about our OneShip product, we hold with OneShip the Built for NetSuite accreditation. And in fact, we've just actually had that accreditation renewed for the latest release of NetSuite, for NetSuite 2024.2. That's a process we go through for each new release to retain that accreditation. There's a rigorous testing and approval process we have to comply with to maintain that. So you can be confident that OneShip product is fully sort of integrated and compatible with NetSuite for each new version. So just now getting on to the sort of theme of today's session about the UK internal market scheme. So we'll be looking at just a sort of the highlights of that scheme for those of you who are not familiar with it, and then showing you how OneShip can help you comply with it, with the new processes and new rules that are coming into force. Will be about 30 minutes for this, and we'll pick up any questions at the end of the session. So if you have a question, there's a question button on the webinar page. If you submit your questions through there, and then we'll pick those up at the end. If there's any we can't immediately answer, then we'll come back to you specifically with the details. So the UK internal market scheme. So this is arising from the Windsor framework, which was agreed between, I think, last year between the UK government and the European Union, and it covers the movement of goods into Northern Ireland from other parts of the United Kingdom. So it's movement of goods into Northern Ireland. It doesn't affect anything being sent from Northern Ireland to the rest of the UK. So it's to deal with that situation. The main impact of that in terms of companies sending goods to Northern Ireland is the requirement to provide additional information about the items that are being sent, and essentially they'll be handled in a very similar way to export shipments in terms of that additional data requirement. There are slightly different processes depending on whether the shipment is going to a business in Northern Ireland or to a consumer, so that there's more there's more process and more rules related to those business to business shipments. The business to consumer ones are slightly simpler, but there's still that need for additional data. It comes into force at the end of the month, and it replaces the UK trader scheme that will cease on the 30th of September, replaced by the UK IMS. So I mentioned just a little bit more detail. So I mentioned about the need for additional data. So um, uh, this covers things like again, these haven't been required previously for shipments within the UK. It needs for each item on a shipment a meaningful product description needs to be provided, a commodity or HS code, and the value of the item on that shipment. So again, that's similar data that's required for again for exporting outside the UK. They now is required. That's now required for shipments into Northern Ireland. If those things aren't required, there's the yeah, sorry. Yeah, so you also need to provide the value of the items on the shipment, and again, which is very similar to what's needed already for export shipments. And then in terms of business to business consignments, there's two sort of categories these fall into. There's consignments which are considered sort of not at risk, and this is sometimes referred to as going through the green lane into Northern Ireland. And there's other ones which are at risk, and they're in the red lane. And by risk, it means there's a risk that the item in the shipment could then be moved on to the European Union, most likely to the Republic of Ireland. So again, there's further process required and potential sort of cost implications if items are considered at risk. There's a wealth of information out there. So again, if you haven't already researched this, I'd recommend that you start with the UK government website about the scheme, and there's a lot of information on there about the requirements and the rules that you'll need to be aware of. And as well as the government, there's our shipping carriers that we work with. Again, they've got their own briefings. So again, I'd recommend you talk to your shipping carriers and get hold of that information if you don't already have it. And so there are just three examples there from carriers we work with UPS, DX, and DHL. So in terms of what this means for us with OneShip and what we can help you with, so we've been working with the shipping carriers we integrate with for some time to understand what changes they're making to their systems. And we're updating OneShip to support that. And we've got a new release, which is just about to come out. Which is going to be released to 37.0. So there'll be, if you're already a OneShip customer, you'll receive a notification about that probably next week with the instructions you'll need to follow to implement that and to configure it. That will basically have been updated to meet the carrier's requirements, and actually they're generally all managing this slightly differently. So there's we're sort of catered for all of that in the app. It will handle all that additional data I mentioned for things like the commodity code, the item description, etc. And it'll also enable you to save any UKIMS numbers, for example, that your business customers might have in Northern Ireland, to save those in NetSuite, and so we can reference those in the shipments we send to them. And so it will handle both B2B and B2C, and there will be some additional configuration required in NetSuite for this. And Nonny, in a moment, she'll show us an example, and she'll touch on that, and that will also be covered in the release bulletin we issue when we issue version 2.37.0. So essentially, OneShip will have this covered for you. So what I'll do now, I'll hand over to Nonny, and she's actually going to demonstrate OneShip processing a shipment into Northern Ireland in line with the new scheme. So I'll just stop sharing, and
Alrighty.
Nonny, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Let me just share my screen. Alrighty, has that come up, Neil?
It has, yeah.
Okay, alrighty. So I created a simple sales order ahead of time. So this is with the assumption that you already have OneShip installed in your account. So here, once you have OneShip installed, just to brush over that, there are certain fields that would be added into your account and functionalities. One to look out for is under your shipping tab, that section that accommodates mainly OneShip, but we will discuss that on the item fulfillment because it mirrors it. So I'm just going to fulfill this. Just give it a few seconds. And please do excuse us for the speed. These accounts are really slow, actually, slower than Sandbox. So yeah, just bear with me when it's ready.
It really is sort of go slow, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Already, okay. So once you set up OneShip, we have what we call our shipping items or shipping method. These are what we use to link your services to a shipping method. So for instance, this for other customers, it can be a one-to-one or one-to-many, but in this instance, we've linked all our services to this UKIMS demo. And then based on that, we've also set up rules in the back end to handle the automatic selection of a service for us. So in this instance, we have selected a service. We have actually an address that is going to the Northern Ireland. You can see that a service is automatically selected. If we were to change that, say, to South Africa in this instance, and then just tap out, you'll see that it changes it to DPD, rest of the world, because there are rules that are set up to pick this up. So this can either be based on postcode, countries, packages. There's a whole lot more that you can configure this to look at. So in this instance, we are going to be using Northern Ireland. So all you do from here is you click Save in OneShip. This button is also added when you install the bundle into OneShip. So when we click Save in OneShip, what happens here is all the data is then sent to your respective carrier, in this case, DPD. This includes all your customs data, your UKIMS number, and also flags that tell you if this is a company or is an individual. We'll show you that as well. You can also configure OneShip to actually print out your packing slips or dispatch notes if you have those. Those will also be printed automatically to your printer, but for the purpose of this test, I am going to be printing them to window once it's ready. Again, I'm sorry about the speed.
Yeah, this generally takes sort of 3 or 4 seconds, doesn't it? This process,
Yeah,
not
it's
as
a
long as we're
lot
seeing
quicker.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready. Okay. So this would be the label that is printed. And this label will go directly to your printer. It's not something that's going to pop up to your screen. As well as this, for this example, we just use one packing slip. This will also go to your printer. If we go back to the item fulfillment under the shipping tab, and then you just scroll down, you see that you now have a tracking link. It would usually be a live one in your account, but in this instance, because it's just a test, that will take us to the DPD tracking site, but obviously because it's not a live one, it would not display. So, okay. With that said, just to show you what happens in the background, initially when we create your account, I'm just going to close these three. When we create your account, we create services, and then under those services for a Northern Ireland service, we would then have to configure it to have details, customs clearance checked. Then there's an option to either have a shipper generated commercial invoice or not. This is also just dependent on the carrier that you want. However, if you are to set it, in any case, it doesn't really affect the process of making that booking, whether it is there or not. But
Yeah.
again,
If I could just add, just to
yes, ma'am.
emphasize that, Nolly. So yeah, that check, we can just hover over that check, the detailed customs clearance checkbox, Nolly, over on the left.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the flag that tells OneShip to send all that additional data that I mentioned in terms of the description, commodity code, etc. So yeah, that's that's sort of the key setting that will we'll be using for UKIMS. Thanks, Dolly.
All right. Alrighty, thank you. And then from there, if you remember, I showed you the shipping method, and I said because of that, there are services that are set under that, and there are rules to those services. So if we just go to this OneShip service group, which is also added by the bundle, and sorry, I'm aware that there's a whole lot of them, but in this case, we'll just be concentrating on the UKIMS demo one. So if you remember, I set the country to South Africa, and it picked up DPD rest of the world. This is because when you change a service, either a code, depending on what you would set by, but in this case, if you change the country, it iterates through all these rules and uses the first best one that it finds. So in this case, DPD rest of the world was the one. And if we set it to Northern Ireland, this was selected the DPD. Next day, Northern Ireland was set. Now,
Yeah. Sorry, just before you go off that, if I can just add those rules, we OneShip sort of goes those rules in the order they're listed there. So the reason the second one is the GB one, which is essentially the rest of the UK apart from Northern Ireland. And that's the reason it didn't select that is because of that setting that Nonny's highlighting there. We've excluded the BT postcode, which is obviously the postcode for Northern Ireland. So it's that's the kind of configuration that you need to create in your account to pick up that specific Northern Ireland service with that additional data to be collated. Thanks, Nonny.
Thank you, Neil. So thank you for that, Neil. So per customer, in essence, for this per company, you would then you'd then populate, there's actually a field called, let me just quickly show you that. There's a field under, in this test account, it's under preferences where you save your UKIMS number, so per custom record. This is where when we process a transaction, it would actually come into this record as well and pick up that UKIMS number to be able to send to your respective carrier. In this case, again, to DPD. So just to show you the request file or the data that we actually send to DPD for this example. I'm just gonna render that. Okay, so this is the information that is required by DPD. If you just scroll down and look here, this is the additional data that is now being sent. Your UKIMS number is business. This looks at the type of customer that you are. Are you an individual or you're a company? And then it's set to true. And then this at risk is what Neil had mentioned about certain items being in the green lane and certain items being in the red lane. Because it's set to false here, then everything is not at risk. So it's
yeah, and that. Sorry, just in terms of that, how that's determined, whether it's at risk or not, it's about the UKIMS number. So part of the scheme is if you're registering the scheme and you have a UKIMS number, that's essentially the commitment that the item is not at risk of being further moved on to the. So if the item is at risk, then you would not quote that IMS number, the UKIMS number.
Yes,
Thanks,
yes. Thank you, Neil. So that kind of sums that up from OneShip handling it. I'm just going to pass on to Neil just to kind of round up everything for us, and then we'll jump to questions right after. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonic. So I'll share my screen again, and
Alrighty, thank you.
hopefully my connection will hold up. Again, if you lose me, just shout, Nonny,
I'll do.
Or wave at me or something. So just to finish off, just a little bit more about OneShip. Again, if you're not already using it, so we integrate with a wide range of shipping carriers. and we have two types of integration. We have our direct integrations, which is the list you can see here. So we connect directly to the shipping carriers' systems, and this is a growing list, and we've recently added in the Royal Mail and UPS to this list. But we also have connections to some shipping aggregators who we partner with, who are Ship Theory, GFS, and AGL, and through their systems, we have access to a further list of carriers, which are the ones you can see here, which we don't currently have direct integrations with. So the difference here is you'd need to have an account with, say, with Ship Theory, GFS, or AGL to access these, but these are also available. So a very wide range of coverage that we support. Just in terms of the cost for OneShip, it's we license it annually by shipping carrier. So it's currently the UK price is £1,149 a year for that license, and there's also a one-off fee of £999 for setting the OneShip in your account. Again, that's per shipper. So that covers the setup, configuration, testing, and training with your team. And that's generally a fairly swift process, and typically it's about 2 to 4 weeks from start to finish to getting you live, if you've not already a OneShip customer. So just to wrap up, so we've looked at the UKIMS scheme, and what's involved in that to sort of a high level. Mention the sort of the key issues, like the need, really the important one is to provide that additional data. That's the most important thing there, and where you can find further information about that, both through the government and through shipping carriers, and then just how OneShip works with that now once we release our new version next week. So that's it. So just in terms of questions, I can see there's a couple of questions, and the first one is about where can we find out more about OneShip. So if you can give us your email address, we can organise actually a specific demo for you. So we can show you sort of in a bit more detail what OneShip can do and give you a chance to sort of ask questions during the demo. So if you just confirm your email address, then we'll come back to you on that and get that arranged. And then the other one is about NetSuite, and yeah, so OneShip is a NetSuite app, so it doesn't. So you'll need to be using NetSuite in order to use it. So if you're not, then those rules for the UKIMS will still apply. So whatever process you're following to book your consignments on your carrier, then you'll still need to provide all that extra data, whatever system you're using, or even if you're doing it sort of manually entering that in a shipper's portal. But so what OneShip is a specific NetSuite suite app, so you need to be a NetSuite customer in order to use it in that way that we've shown you. Okay, so those are the two questions we had. I'll just give it another couple of minutes, see if there's any more, and then we'll finish. As I say, I think the key thing is just check out the information that's out there, and if you have any questions, whether you're one of our existing customers or not, then please feel free to contact us, and we'll do our best to answer those for you. Right, I think that's probably all the questions, Nonny. So I think we'll wrap up at that point. So thanks everybody for coming today. And we'll be these are a regular sort of series of webinars we hold. So if you keep your eyes open for the communications from Bluebridge One, and then we'll be in touch to let you know about. See you there. So thanks everybody, and hopefully see you again soon. Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Bye.